Hello, Bible readers. It's July 9th, and our readings for today are from Job chapters 18 to 20 and Mark 7. Jesus, in defending himself and explaining himself to the Pharisees, quotes a lot of scripture in our section for today from Mark. He does that because for the Pharisees, scripture is their language. Jesus is meeting them where they're at. That's another thing we learn about God throughout Scripture, is God meets people where they're at. For the Pharisees, he goes law. I mean, most famously, when he appears to Mary Magdalene in the Gospel of John, he finally says, Mary. He says her name to help her see who he is. God meets us where we're at in ways that make sense to each of us. And this is just another example. As he quotes lots of scripture, what Jesus is trying to do with those scriptures will hopefully make even more sense once we've read those parts of Isaiah and other parts that Jesus refers to. In this moment, Jesus is speaking about ritually unclean foods. The Pharisees are famous for getting stuck on the details so that they don't have to think about bigger things. I resonate with that. I'm oftentimes a Pharisee, where I might not want to feel the big stuff, and so I might just get stuck on more minute things. The Pharisees are stuck on ritually clean and unclean foods, as opposed to, is everyone getting fed? Is community happening? They don't think about the big things. And so Jesus is trying to help enlarge their mindsets. And to do so, I've said this before, Mark can be a pretty clever writer. He can actually throw humor in there sometimes too. Especially, I think I read this as a joke from Jesus. There's nothing that by going in can defile, but the things that come out are what defile. It's kind of a poop joke. I mean, it's a play on words that you're not a victim of outside forces all the time. You create your own crappy behavior, So anyway, there's Mark. That's part of why I like Mark, is that he's willing to kind of wink at the audience a bit when Jesus is insulted as a son of Mary. He's willing to do a play on words that would make everybody who'd be listening to a gospel like this go, oh, Jesus kind of earthy, So there's Mark today, and then Job, as we read from the Old Testament, Bildad. I mean, this guy, talk about bringer of bad news. If you suffer, you must be bad. Like, search yourself, Job. You must be an evil person for this. Imagine all this bad stuff happening, and then in addition to that, you're told, well, then this must mean you're evil. So just, figure it out how you're evil. The idea of saint and sinner is not something that Bildad has in mind here. I think the idea of saint and sinner at the same time is one of the greatest theological gifts that Lutheranism has offered to the world. The idea that I am not purely evil, nor am I purely pure. I am both at the same time. There is more to me than any one awful moment, and there's also more to me than just what is good about me. And so there's a connection between all humans, if we can admit we're all saints and all sinners. But the mindset in Job is you must be evil if you've got these bad things, as though there's one or the other. Chapter 19 is about Job saying, I know my Redeemer lives. We have a song in our hymnal based and rooted in this chapter 19. And I just thought that was worth noting too. I know that my Redeemer lives. Most of our hymns are rooted in Scripture. So maybe our hymns are going to become more alive now too as we read through. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.